If you'd like to see more of our videos, hit the subscribe button to stay on top of the market news. Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMtrading. Today's September 30th, 2020, and today is Wednesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the markets continue to rotate. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look. So there's no major economic event scheduled for today, but what do I mean by rotation? The euro breaks higher. And then we're watching the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones both give up their gains after this presidential debate. Okay, so we see this rotation where one market goes higher, one market goes lower, and then it's vice versa. Okay, and that's exactly what I mean by a rotation. Gold rises on this news, but gives up some gains this morning. Oil loses ground and is trading underneath $40 a barrel. And lastly, looking at the stocks, we're seeing a rotation where Facebook, which was originally weak, is now strong, okay? And Microsoft, which was originally strong, is now weak. So this is what I mean by rotation. The markets take a rotational move as they consolidate, as this market is, digesting some of the news that is happening with the pandemic and the elections coming about. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we take a look here with the Euro USD. As I mentioned, we had this nice little rally up to 117.51 from our low of 1617-ish level. And you can see that we've given up the gains. And this is really previous resistance. Okay, if we look at a longer time frame, we'll see that on a daily chart. This was previous resistance, right? Previous support, excuse me. As we hit the support level at the 1751, never breaching it, then finally breaching it, and now this is resistance. I wouldn't celebrate that this is going to go back to the 1613 level yet, but it does have some restriction in breaking above this 1751. Okay, so if it does break above it, you do want to see it. However, looking at some of the other markets, this may still not happen, because if we look at the GBP, it's giving up some of its gain, just trickling down. For all intents and purposes, the GBP is trading within a range. The upper level, 129.12-ish level, the lower limit where we are right now is 1835. So as long as we're maintaining this and not, breaking lower, okay, this may find itself actually bouncing and then forcing the euro to bounce as well. Now, jumping into the commodities, we're looking at gold here, just breaking down this morning from our high of 1900 level yesterday, down to this 118.88-ish level right now. We traded as low as 1,880 this morning. Okay, I don't know why I'm having some hard time with bringing that out, but this is going to be choppy. Okay, we're not there yet with a breakout, okay, on the high side, okay, but this was definitely a buying opportunity at this 1855-ish level last week. We are looking at a little bit of a sell-off here from this 1900-ish level. Okay, so with that said, I'd still be looking at the greater markets, looking at the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ to see what happens today. Now, looking at oil, okay, giving up its gains below this $40 a barrel. Okay, so this is for all intents and purposes showing that there's not much demand for oil right now in light of the current atmosphere that we're trading in this current pandemic. Okay, going into the winter months, this is not very encouraging, okay, for the price of oil, because generally going into October, November, we generally rally with the price of oil, and that is not happening this year. Okay, so this may actually show some further weakness as we continue to trade this going into October, November. Now, jumping into the Dow Jones, okay, this is happening all this morning after the presidential debate. We were trading at 27,500-ish level, and look at that, just giving up our gains down to 27,000. We're bouncing at 27,000. We're at 126 right now. So all intents and purposes, I did expect this. I expected it to trade closer to the 27,800-ish level before it gave up these gains. Okay, so with that said, our previous gains, which was this 26,000 to 27,500. Okay, these gains. Okay, so we're still not there. I expected it to be somewhere around here, maybe even to the 28,000 before, kind of falling apart, but that's not happening right here. Okay, although some of the stocks are still pretty strong, okay? Stocks like Jpmorgan is still strong, okay? And this is where the rotation is actually happening. Now, looking at the NASDAQ, also, we sold off to 11,200-ish level if we look at that this morning as well after this presidential debate. And I might add that it was quite an embarrassment, okay? That the two presidents or upcoming presidents are just battering each other and just, getting a little bit too personal and making it more of a fist fight than an actual debate yesterday. So with that said, the markets are reacting to that, okay? And markets don't like inconsistency. Markets don't like when there's no proper leadership, okay, from one of the greatest countries in the world right now, okay? But it's not showing that, okay? Their leadership is not reflecting that either. Now, looking at Facebook, okay, this is where it gets kind of interesting because this was the weak one, okay, the weak one that didn't push higher and then finally, catching up and then being a leader here to 260, okay, whereas Microsoft gave up yesterday, okay, hit 210 and then give it up to 206. Okay, now looking at Jpmorgan, this is very interesting, still showing some strength at $95.50. Now, what the markets are kind of doing is that they're absorbing this information, okay? The FOMC is pretty much taking in and lowering the interest rate, kind of putting money out there in the market so the markets don't completely tank and completely have a debacle. But at the same time, companies like Disney are letting go of 28,000 employees because it doesn't pay for them to, sustain all these employees in light of this current pandemic situation that we're in. Okay, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and this pandemic could take up to 3, 4, 5 years for it to run its course. Okay, so a lot of things still happening. Now remember, yesterday was the first debate that we had between the two presidential candidates, both President Trump and Vice President Joe Biden. Okay, now we still have another month to go to election. So I do expect volatility to increase. And we do look at the VIX here, you see that we perked up yesterday. Let's look at it. Okay, it did perk up to 30 and then giving it up. Okay, so we are going to have these type of spikes in the volatility in the markets as this continues throughout the month. Okay, so just be aware of that. So it does present itself with a lot of opportunities across the board. And I mean Forex symbols, I mean indices, I mean commodities, and I mean stocks. Okay, for sure. These opportunities will continue throughout the month. This is Fred Razak, and I wish you guys a great trading day.